wanted to talk today a little bit about what it's like let me rephrase this, talking about the phrase, the old ways aren't working anymore, and what that really means, and how you are already seeing it affected in your life all the way up to the government, so to speak. So, um, we are the difference between the third and the fifth dimensions that we've talked about before is vibration and consciousness. And as we begin to vibrate higher and higher and resonating more with Gaia, Mother Earth, as she is raising her vibration, things that don't resonate and cannot resonate within that vibration will begin to fall away, will begin to change. There won't be the energy to support it. And the best analogy that I can think of that is whenever they quit uh, when they quit making the downloads for XP. So you have to change to another computer program and upgrade. That's a lot of what we're doing. And the energy of the old ways, just like the old computer programs were supported with the downloads, the belief system, the vibration, the consciousness of humanity at that time was supported it. It was in resonance. So it supported the beliefs and the actions that we, in the collective social consciousness that we existed in. And what's happening is that because that foundation is no longer there, all that the energy doesn't exist to support it. I mean, you can still use your computer program WinXP, but you're going to get to a point where it's just not going to be, it's not going to serve you anymore. And that may be quite a ways, and it might be right around the corner. That, like I said, that's the best analogy I can give you to how we are shifting and changing in our human consciousness. And it's the collective consciousness, not just the belief systems and the conditioning and programming. The vibration is changing everyone all over the earth. And we are in the habit of accepting the third dimensional energies. It's not that we don't really think about it and we're not conscious of it, but we're in the habit of it. We're accepting concepts and beliefs that we have literally outgrown and that have nothing to support them the minute that we turn around and face it. It's like it'll just poof and disintegrate out of the consciousness. So what is happening now is that you have to start looking at what you're wanting to create and what you're manifesting in your world, not from the old ways, but from heart, from the positive. You cannot continue to do the old ways and have it supported because you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to hit a brick wall, you're going to have all kinds of unhappy, negative experiences. And I'm seeing this in businesses and companies. I'm seeing it within, individual people. People say, well, what does that mean? How do I do this? You do it through your passion. You do it through what makes you joyful, what makes you happy. Remembering and knowing that nobody else in the world is going to have your same passion, your joy, or the aliveness of your life whenever you are living in that. It may be something that you've done all of your life. It may be something that you've kind of dabbled in or something that you've never even considered before. But when you give yourself permission to know and to let it be okay to have the passion that you have, you're going to open doors in your vibrational field. It's going to expand. Things that you never considered are suddenly going to be right in your face. And it's like wow, I knew that. I just never thought of it, to quote a friend. It's just something that you have to look at from a different perspective. This is why I keep saying shift the crystal. If you keep trying to look at the world through the 3D lens and the world that you're trying to see is already fifth dimensional, there's going to be a tremendous distortion. And this is something that you want to bring into your consciousness, something that you want to be aware of from a different way. So, if anything that you are doing or wanting to manifest or thinking about or giving your power away to that involves the old ways, which goes everything from greed and violence, control, manipulation, even victimization. I guess I should say especially victimization. Because remember, none of us are victims. But we have been conditioned to believe that we are. It's always somebody else's fault. And literally, the powers that be have used guilt to maintain and to validate that false belief. So, it's kind of like no wonder, we have kind of a cockeyed position or perspective of the things that are going on around us. Why wouldn't we? How could we not? Up until you know what you don't know, you're going to function off of what you do know. That is truth. That's what is. And like it or hate it, that's not going to change because you don't want to deal with it. So you want to look at what in your world, when you sit down and you daydream and you wish and all of those kind of things, what makes you happy? What is your passion? Where do you find yourself getting excited when you talk about it or think about it or watch a show about it? What is the thing that just makes your life worth living, so to speak? That's the new way manifesting. When you focus on that and give yourself permission to receive it, which may seem like a small thing, but it really is a big deal that you give yourself permission to receive all that is yours under grace and perfect ways. But when you give yourself permission to live your passion, to accept and allow and experience what that means, your vibration will soar. You will begin to experience instant manifestations of your highest and greatest good. But when you keep trying to do it different in the energy of the old way, you are going to end up unhappy, miserable, and sick. It's just the way that it works because you cannot function in that vibration any longer. And to deny that keeps you locked into it. It's like anchors. And excuse me, all of the diseases and illnesses and things that we are experiencing, even the new stuff that's coming out and the conditioning and programming, flu of any kind is a fear disease. It is created through and maintained by fear, the energy of fear, pure and simple. And I just find it fascinating that every winter season, every quote-unquote flu season, this strain is always going to be the biggest and the baddest and the worst. Or it's a new variation on one that is just almost incurable. I mean, everything is about creating fear. And it's also all about control and manipulation and keeping us as victims. We need to start looking at what we are experiencing through a different lens. Is it of the old way? Is it through the control, the manipulation, the falsehoods, the lies, all of these things that have been used against us? Are we going to open our eyes and open our minds and hearts and say, well, maybe there is credence to some of this new information that's being presented to me? Maybe the way that I'm experiencing that the old ways aren't working. I may not have put it in those terms, but nothing is working right in my life. Every time I try and do something, it fails. It gets messed up. It gets put aside. It creates obstacles. Well, that in itself is telling you that you are trying to stay in the old energy. You cannot create in a new world in the old way. You just cannot. And whether you believe that we're coming into a new world or not, that's a choice. And that's a choice of denial because everything around you is absolutely screaming at you that things are not the way they used to be or that they have ever been. Just if you really, really need another proof of that on a physical level, look at our government. Look at what is happening in the political arena that has never, ever happened in any way, shape, or form. Oh, sure, we've always been told that anybody can be president, but we've always experienced it. It's only the politicians that get to do so. What is that telling you? And believe me, This man is creating chaos on every level possible, on the physical, the emotional, the mental, and even on the spiritual. This man is creating all of this chaos through his actions and the choices that he is making. We get to choose how we respond to that. We don't have a thing to do about what his agenda is. But whenever we get into our truth and get into our heart and make a choice as to what is real for us and what energies we're going to support, then we're going to make a difference. Because this energy, everything that he is doing is designed to create fear. Because the light is winning. The dark energies, the dark is falling away. It's losing its power. It's losing its control as more and more people become conscious. And this is literally a last-ditch effort to stir up enough food for everybody to have a feast on. Are we going to support it? Are we going to stay in our truth and live in the vibration that we are choosing? We're still in a free will universe. We're still in free will choice, and nothing can be done unless we agree to it and choose it. And we choose it consciously and unconsciously. That's what the awareness is about, is to bring us into the consciousness of knowing what we're saying and doing and thinking and feeling. We alone are responsible. We're not victims. We never have been. But if the powers that be can keep us thinking that we are, then we're going to stay in fear, guilt, shame, obligation, revenge, frustration, anger, fear, and I could go on and on. Again, we have a choice now in ways that we've never been able to choose before. Give yourself permission to choose different. You know what the old ways feel like. Shoot, you can always go back to them if they don't work. But what if the new way is something that makes you happy, that fulfills all of your dreams? We're really good at playing the what if game. So what happens when we play it in the positive side, in the way? Flip that coin over. What if all of my dreams come true? What if I really begin to instantly manifest the love, the light, the peace, the joy, the compassion, the empathy, the reverence, the value of myself and all other beings? What would happen to our world if that came into being? And where does it start? It starts with each of us individually. If you listen to last week's show, one of the things that I was talking about was judgment. And as long as we're judging the outcome, the process, anything, we are still giving our power away, whether it's to an illusion or to a reality, quote unquote, or a perceived reality. It's still giving our power away. What, if you're the only one of you there is, what are you possibly judging and possibly comparing yourself to that can create a judgment? It doesn't exist, but yet we never think about it. The truth is so simple and it's so in our face. It's just up to us to see it, to know that it exists, to know that it is there, and trust it. My goodness, people, we have got so many people, so many of the higher realms on our side, our angels, our guides, friends are earthbound angels. We're all that and more to each other in ways that we can't imagine. We're never alone, and we're more alike than we can even conceive of. But yet the layers are being peeled off very, very quickly, a little at a time. And as each layer comes down and is removed, the vision, the perception changes. And what you thought you saw 3 veils back is not what you're seeing 3 veils forward. It's a process. And yet, it's one that is such a miraculous, adventurous journey. There is no judgment except for what you place on yourself. We're here, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And that human experience is deep and wide. That's what we have to remember. If we don't have the experience, how are we going to learn from it? Where does the wisdom come from? Where does the compassion, the empathy, the understanding, the value, the worth? We have to have these experiences to evolve, to become more of who we are in the physical realm. All of it's about our soul's evolution. How do we love? Who do we love and what do we love? These are very important questions. And I would certainly hope that self is at the top of the list. I'm going to pause here for a minute and give you a chance to give me a call, 773-897-6227. What do you think about the topic we're having? Have you had any experiences along this way? Have you done your life different? These are all questions that are valid and would really be fun to have a conversation about, not only for us, but for everybody else. So pick up the phone and give us a call. And as always, go to my website, easyknowing.com. You can check out all the tools and the techniques that I have available. The whole purpose of all that I do is to give us all the opportunity to know what we know different. And I was blessed in being able to have this information quickly, or very early, I guess I should say. All righty, I see that we do have a call. I do want to remind you guys, turn down the commuter. And hi, you're on the air.
Good morning, Sherry. Good morning, it's Cheryl.
Hello there, sweet thing. How are you?
Wonderful. Just happy that you're here on Sunday mornings.
Me too. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to share how I took to heart, your this reminder that we have to do it differently. And as much as I have thought that I have been, just like the caller last week who noticed those little, pinpoints as to where she was, I think, making judgments,
right.
And she caught the subtlety of it.
Yes.
And I have had a combination of work, that I've enjoyed. I like having 2 or 3 different ways that I earn my income rather than one 8 to 5 kind of job. And one of those areas has been in the area of taking care of children after school. And my specialty is creative enrichment education. More so, that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do. And a family that I was with, their 2 children this last fall, I didn't get to do any of that. And I felt like I was the housekeeper because I just, shuttled them everywhere and did the laundry and gave them showers and made the beds and those kinds of things. And beautifully, the relationship came to a respectful parting. And so as I listened to your last show before we broke for the holidays, I started to really kind of ask myself, where was my role in the manifestation of what I truly wanted and the greater abundant income to go with it. And I realized that I had been always affirming, that my needs would be taken care of. And I looked at that very carefully and said, that's exactly what's been happening, and you've had nothing left over. And so then I said, well, that's all I've ever known. I watched my mother particularly, work out of envelopes and put money here and, change it out there and dole it out very, very scarcely. There was never extra. Couldn't buy extra, so there wasn't that belief that, well, hey, we could treat ourselves and there'll be more taking its place. So I said, well, all right, maybe I've never experienced that, and that's why it's harder or seemed harder to affirm it and truly believe it. But I said, well, what if you just pretend? What would that feel like? And I started playing in that. And I just kept, and so my morning prayer time that I drink my hot water and talk to my tree, which is the representation of my higher power, grace,
Right.
and all that's good, I just started saying out loud, "Oh my goodness, I have plenty to do this, and I can go extra, an extra tank of gas in my car," and I just started saying what that would feel like. And on January 8th, I had an interview with a couple about their daughter, and it was a 2-hour interview. They had all the qualities that I dreamt of, that I had believed were possible, and their daughter is equally magical. And I started with that family this week, and in the offer, when I was clear, 2 things happened. When we were negotiating compensation, their highest hourly was not even my lowest. And I spoke to that very honestly and very clearly and very lovingly. I wasn't attached. I knew what I'm worth, and I spoke to that. And then and I said, and it's not enough hours for me. And so they came back to me the next morning with an offer that met my hourly for the enrichment education of their daughter and an additional 10 hours a week doing what I love, what I had once wanted, which was a regular writing/marketing communications job, a part-time, to play out my love for that part of my passion.
Well, the magic and miracles manifested quickly on that one, didn't they, girl?
They sure did. And
how awesome.
I have been, when I went to meet their daughter at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, January 14th, I thought I'd be there maybe a couple hours at best. I was there 5 hours. She didn't want me to leave. I didn't want to leave. I surprised her for her birthday. We started this week, and it was magical from the get-go. And there's so much appreciation being expressed in both directions. And yesterday I was at her birthday party at a bowling alley, and I met her girlfriends and her girlfriend's parents. And when you said this morning about, when we're in our passion, when we're living from our heart, there's so much coming out of me that I'm giving.
Yes.
I offered to do a monthly get-together with all the girls and create a writing club. These are 9-year-old girls. And I told them we'll make a book of their writing. And these were things just coming out. I didn't look at my calendar and see if I had time for it.
Exactly.
I know I have time. The time is there.
Yes, absolutely.
And here I was in a bowling alley, high stimulation, and I knew that I could go to a line dancing event at a beautiful venue where I love to go. And in my mind, I thought, after I get done with the bowling party, I think I'll probably want to go home. Nope. I was there and had a ball. And I came home with as much energy as I started with in the morning, cleaning my house, then line dancing lesson, then bowling party, then line dancing. And I drove home, and I slept beautifully, and I woke up and I said, wow, this is how it works.
Yes.
There's nothing in me. I'm not having to affirm that I have energy, that I can get through the day. It's just there. It's there.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. You are living the fifth dimensional vibration in that conscious energy, and look at the miracles manifesting. I am just,
And
thank you. I just, what a beautiful confirmation of everything that I'm talking about.
well, I have been listening to you, and I have, been one of your students, and I share this for everyone because I know if the more we hear how it's working with different people, then it helps to realize.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because when I used to hear it from the big name brand people,
Mm-hmm.
I just, there was something in me that would say, yeah. And I felt because of the way they were doing it, and this is a judgment, I see this, that I felt that they were commercializing the information. And so I've changed that, and I'm saying, hey, that's fine for them, and that's fine for all of those that want to follow that. I choose differently.
Exactly.
I choose.
And bless them for
choose what. Yeah.
Yeah, I just said bless them for being there to give you that perspective, to give you something to observe that didn't resonate.
Right. It doesn't. I mean, to quote you, it doesn't make them good or bad, right or wrong.
Well, thank you for that. That is true.
I say that all the time, to myself and to others. Doesn't make it right or wrong, good or bad.
Exactly.
It just is, and so I let all of it be, and I go and create my life because that's the only one I can be in charge of, and there's nobody else that's me. So to look around and say, well, am I doing this right? Doesn't make sense either because they're not me.
Compared to what and according to who?
Right. So I'm going to let you go because I just love to reflect back. It's helped anchor it for me even further. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you so much for doing your show because I know it keeps blessing all of us, and my appreciation is immense. So,
well, it's my honor, my joy, and my privilege. I thank you for acknowledging it.
Absolutely.
All right,
keep
darling.
on keeping on.
You betcha, girl. Talk to you later, sweet
Okay. Babe. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, Miss Cheryl, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us because this is something that she's sharing us the tools in action. She's sharing the concepts that she's implementing. And I know all of us are doing that in our own way. And yours isn't going to be like Cheryl's was or is or continues because it'll all shift and change as we vibrate higher and we get more and more, we become more comfortable in the vibrations that we're in. It's like being comfortable in our own skin. And in truth, we never have been because we never knew what that was. And we were terrified that if we did, somebody would find out and there would be hell to pay, quote unquote. That's one of the things that I wanted to address is that when you try, the old way is doing it out of survival, doing it out of, I got to pay the bills, I've got to feed the kids, I've got to pay the, just function, I've got to survive. And it was almost like a carte blanche. Any way you could do that was okay. Some things were, a 10 where others were a 1, but it was all accepted within some level because it was all designed and motivated by the need to survive. How could you not have greed and violence and corruption and control and manipulation? How could you not have those energies exist in that energy, in that belief system? But the thing that's happening is that as those who are trying to continue to live their lives from that mindset, from that perspective, are the ones that are going to start struggling more and more. And it has nothing to do with what your status is. on a financial or social level. If you continue with the mindset that is of the old ways, you're going to experience the consequences of that lack of support of the vibration to continue that belief, that way of being. It's just falling away. It's not going to continue. Look at the companies that are starting to shift the way that they do business, where they are more about the individual, about their employees, who are really taking care of their employees and honoring that energy, that support, that connectedness, that respect, value, all of these things that are common human needs. This is what the new ways are about, is making us all aware that our core needs, that is just as much a part of us as breathing air is, are okay. And in fact, are being rewarded for being met. Now, whenever you apply these, the fulfillment of these needs to your life, to your work world, to everything, there is such a shift in the feedback of it, the way that you begin to experience and express, and it's quick. We're no longer in the times where it would take weeks and months or years to grow, to come into a certain place. It may have taken 15 years in the past to get your PhD, whereas now you're getting it in 15 months or less. I mean, totally an analogy, not a reality, but that's how fast things are speeding up. And the minute that you start applying and using these tools and shifting your crystal and your consciousness and opening your heart and your mind to doing it different, when you start saying, well, maybe all of the aches and pains that I'm feeling have nothing to do with my physical body, and that they just suddenly appeared and suddenly disappeared in different ways. If this keeps happening over and over again, what is the message? Is it really about the the body? Is it a disease? Is it an illness? No. This is your body is changing and shifting. And as we talked last week about not judging on the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual, all of this applies to all the levels. We've got to seek the comfort, give ourselves the comfort, the pleasure, the attention, the acceptance, the approval, the value, the importance on every level that we exist on. And translated into the physical, that means in the workplace, it means in our neighborhoods, in our communities, social media, all ways. We have to start making sure that we're meeting our needs, and therefore we're able to meet everybody else's. When a company becomes conscious, when a being becomes conscious and starts accepting themselves, starts making themselves important just because of who and what they are, without having to do anything other than be who that is, then that starts extending down. It's a trickle-down concept, just like water. It's a flow. It's a vibration. It's an energy. You cannot meet your own needs without, in the process, giving other people permission to meet theirs. And as we all begin to give each other permission to be who we are and to feel what we feel and to love what we love and to experience what we experience without it being good or bad or right or wrong, but just an experience that we're having as a spiritual being, having a human experience. We're getting to have a human experience. Woohoo! That's what it's about. That's what we're here to do. And instead of judging other people because of the experience that they've had or that they're choosing or that they're going through, celebrate it. As I keep telling you guys, wherever you're at, wallow in it. If you need to get down in the negative and the dirt and the yucky and the gore and the illness and all of that, then do it, but do it in spades. Make it worth your while, because the more that you try and go not be where you are, the more painful it's going to be. But you have to find that out for yourself. And through that process, you will open your heart. You will open your mind. Because everything right now in this world is being designed to assist us, to support us. Nothing is being done to us. We've never been victims. But if they could keep us believing that we were, then they could steal our power. So the belief in being a victim is slowly fading away. It's being a victim is slavery. Whether it's debt slavery or human slavery, whatever kind it is, it's still slavery whenever we are not allowed to experience and express who and what we truly are, our own free will. Oh, sure, you could express your free will within the box you were put in. Well, but then punished and chastised and belittled and challenged because you wanted to get outside of the box and experience more. Why wouldn't you? That's what it's about. But no matter how big or small the box it is still a box. And your consciousness expanding, you can no longer be in that box when you've got the universe to play in. And as conscious human beings, that's exactly what we're going to get to do. Some of us get tastes of it here and there, and every once in a while. And it's magnificent, it's joyful, it's beautiful, but it's scary because it is still unknown, and we don't know how to navigate those waters yet. But it's all coming into being. These are the things that we're learning. These are the things that are coming to us. These are the things that we are being prepared for. A lot of the aches and the pains in your body that you're feeling are nothing more than your body being rewired and prepared to become more of who you are. Our physical bodies were, for eons, has been to be able to survive in the third dimension, which is a very, very, very dense duality dimension. And to learn how to experience and express in that reality has been part of the experiment, part of the gift, the challenge, the job, the mission, whatever you want to call it, that we all have signed up to do. You know, we chose to come here. We chose to be here in this gender, in this way, at this time. You know, we chose everything that we are experiencing because for our soul's evolution, that was the way that we would have the best opportunity to do so. And everything around us, all of our guides, angels, and heaven itself has supported that challenge by bringing to us opportunities and experiences that we get to choose how we want to respond to. Everything has always been a choice. Just because somebody told you they didn't have one didn't make it so. But we all bought into it. That's that collective consciousness. Okay, I'm going to take a break here and remind you to those of you who might be just joining us. This is Easy Knowing, and I'm Sherry Kennedy. I hope you're enjoying the show so far, and I do invite you to participate. Give us a call, 773-897-6227. That's 773-897-6227. And of course, if calling doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you can always visit my website at easyknowing.com. It's a pretty amazing little place to go to. You can get my book. You can send me comments and email, ask questions. You can experience what other people are experiencing on their journey and how it's affected their lives. I really recommend going to visit. And I really would. You can also make a donation. If you're enjoying the show and it's a benefit to you, create this exchange of energy and make a donation through the website with my absolute gratitude, honor, and respect to you for doing so. So give me a call, 773-897-6227, and we'll look and see if we can experience and discuss together. All righty. So again, getting back to our topic of conversation for today, I wanted to, again, go into remind you of following your passion and something that you may think is just a hobby or it has no significance. That is a judgment of it. Anything that gets you going, anything that gets you excited is your passion. And you may have two or three that will always dovetail into your main one. So explore all of them. See which way you want to manifest the original passion, because we all have one. And I think in a lot of ways that our Discovering and nurturing our passion is what we came here to do. Those are our experiences. Those are the things that we bring in with us, the wisdom, the talents, the gifts. And when we're tapping into all of that, we're doing exactly what we came here to do, because each of us is unique. As I've said many times, we're all a piece of the puzzle. And with any piece missing, it's not the same. And every time we come into this world, and in whatever carnation it chooses to be, we're still a piece of the puzzle that is important. And it's a pretty darn big piece of the puzzle. Our input, our imprint is valued. It is important. It is absolutely necessary. And the process of having the human experience or the spiritual being is to become consciously aware of that. You know, when you come into this life, whether you are aware or not of who you are and what you're doing and blah, 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 you're still leaving your imprint. You are still leaving that piece of the puzzle that only you can bring. But the challenge, the journey, whatever you want to call it, the adventure of it is being consciously aware of who you are and what you're doing. What are you leaving to the world? How are you experiencing and expressing your joy, your passion, your aliveness to the world through your specific lens, through your vision? That's important. I mean, I'm a teacher healer, and I'm the only one of me there is. Nobody's going to do it the way I do it, just like I'm not going to do it the way anybody else ever does it. We may all learn the same tools, the same techniques. We may have all read the same books. But our interpretations and how we manifest that is going to be uniquely different. Just like being a writer, just like being a teacher, or whatever passion you have. There will be others who have a similar gift or passion. Thank goodness. You know, that's a gift, not a competition. And that's also part of the new vibration. In the old ways, if we had similar qualities and abilities and talents and gifts, we had to compete. It was always about the competition. Who's better than that? Who's the worst? Who's, all based on the judgment, to get us to all jump through the hoops to try and be as good as or better than so and so when we already were to begin with. And that's what the fifth dimension and that new way, that higher vibration is creating for us, is showing us. Yeah, together we're a symphony. We all have our own unique piece of this experience to express and to experience. We have to discover it first to be able to actively integrate it. We have many, many, many talents. There's a lot of things that I can do, but none of them are my passion, like what I'm doing right now. And that's what we're looking for. We just got a call. So I want to remind you to be sure and turn your computer sound down. All righty. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, Sherry. This is Tara.
Oh, Miss Tara. Hi, darling.
Oh, it's so awesome to hear Cheryl refer to my comment, last week and how it had a little impact on her and whatnot. It's just awesome. Shows how we're all part of the chain.
I keep saying how important it is.
So I have two questions for you.
Okay.
One question is your email address. I can't seem to find it on your page or anywhere. So I was just wondering if you could throw your email out there for everybody if someone else is having that issue.
Absolutely. On the website, you go under Services and Donation, the very last tab. And it's got a place where you can send me a direct email. Or you can send me an email to Sherry@Sedona.net.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you for the information.
You're so very welcome.
Is regarding boundaries and when you realize that you need to put somebody out of your life because they keep crossing boundaries. I've had this issue. There's a person I've talked to and then not talked to and then talked to and not talked to because of the boundary issue. And and I'm just trying to figure out how to make a decision on when you need to distance yourself from someone who's negative in your perception, or if that's just judging, or if you're trying to throw away a book that's very important that you should get into, or what? As far as a book, relationship and something to learn.
Right. No, I understand your analogy, but just like the book, how long if you've never read it or you haven't got around to it in at least a year, on that physical level, they say if you haven't used it, throw it away. Get rid of it. If it's right for you, it'll come back to you. As far as a relationship, which is a whole different reality, the boundaries, when you are in your truth and you have set the boundaries based on who you know you to be, when you respect you, when you honor you, when you value you, and you are giving that to you, and someone who is in your life is not willing, doesn't recognize that, keeps disrespecting, dishonoring, negating, ignoring, then this is what are you still learning from that experience? It's not about them. Are you still trying to rescue somebody? How are you out of your truth? Whose approval and permission are you trying to get? Because nobody else can give you the time. There's no real thing as when. It's just, like that old saying, when it becomes more painful for the rose to remain a bud than it does for it to open and bloom and be who it is, then you will do something different.
Okay.
It's really, really about, do you really believe what you say you believe? How much are you respecting you or loving or valuing? It still goes back to that. Are you still trying to get something from someone else that you're not giving to yourself? And believe me, sweetie, as you know, and we've talked many times over the years, you can have it down 99%, but that 1% you're still clearing is going to kick your bottom harder than the 99% before it does. It's like that last 5 pounds is the hardest to lose. You need to hang in there. You need to keep going within and being shown your values. How are you honoring you? And if you're getting something out of it, don't judge it. Let it be okay, because you're not ready to go where you want to be. And whenever it's time for you to go, there will be no holding you back.
Exactly.
Does that help?
Looking back over, it does. And looking back over the years, maybe just with friends and whatever that I maybe have lost contact with because of negativity and whatnot, I just kind of was questioning, well, should I have cut them out or should I have kept going? But, I did what I needed to do. There's no shoulds or whatever. Really, it doesn't matter. But basically, I think the problem starts sometimes when people have not basically blurred boundaries to begin with in a relationship, and then the relationship progresses, and those boundaries that were set to begin with are still kind of like there, except for you're getting stronger and you're trying to upgrade the boundary, contract that you have with this person, basically, and they, still want the familiar boundary, and they're like, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing this boundary shit all of a sudden?
Well, make sure that you're clear between a boundary and a habit, okay, because they're not the same thing. We get into the habit of the ways that we treat each other and that we experience and express with each other, and the habit is not the boundary. The boundary is set whenever you recognize that the habit is stemming from a false belief, or that it's stemming from not being in your truth, not taking responsibility. We get lazy. We try to get the other's approval, and we try to change ourselves to make that happen. That's what becomes a habit. We accept and allow behavior in the beginning that we wouldn't allow or experience or accept in any other time or from anybody else in our lives. That's what can create the habit, and that's what has to be broken.
Exactly. Okay, so it's about breaking habits and learning, hey, this is the new boundary, but you don't do that anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so it's, don't get caught up in the mechanics of it as much as in the awareness of it. When you change the belief that would change the boundary, the habit can no longer exist. So it's all part of the whole. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for calling. Great questions.
Thank you,
I love you,
Sherry.
darling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Wow, Tara, thank you so much for calling. You just have always good stories and good questions to ask. And that's a really, really good question because it's very deep and wide. This is how we have to, another way that we can shift the crystal. She's struggling to set boundaries that are already set. She's just not realizing that it's really the habits that she wants to break. And as we come into those changes within ourselves, we're going to recognize, sometimes easy, sometimes hard, that the old ways don't work. When we shift how we believe about ourselves, then we cannot continue the behavior that we experienced and expressed previous to that. This is a new journey. You've just cleared the path in front of you in a different way than you ever have before. So what you're doing is unknown. Let it be okay. This is an exploration. This is a journey. And again, seek the clarity of what you are looking at. If you're still having a need met by someone else because you haven't recognized it or been able to fulfill it for yourself, that's okay. It's still there. It's still something that's going to be there until you do. So don't judge it. Just accept it and see what you can learn from it. Because I guarantee you there will be something that you will experience from even the staying in a relationship that doesn't serve you or that isn't what you want it to be, regardless of whether it's social or personal or whatever. There is always a reason for it, and our job is to recognize it. As we're going through that, our perspectives change because we keep asking questions. Why is this happening? What's wrong with this picture? Blah, blah, blah. And instead of asking it from the perspective of the old ways, we're learning to ask it from the perspective, okay, what do I need to know of this situation? What is being mirrored to me? What is my opportunity to learn? We're going in a different way. And even though it may not seem like a big deal, it's huge. Because the energy, when you ask the questions in that way, the energies are there to support it. The updates are happening constantly. But when you ask it in the old way of what's wrong with me and how do I need to fix it and then you're just not going to have the energy to support it. So, excuse me, I'm going to just wet my whistle here a moment. So anyway, I want to thank Cheryl and Tara both for giving us a call because both of you have shared information and created a perspective, a physical, actual, this is what I did, and in a sense created a how for other people just simply by sharing your experiences. And I think that is really, really important, and that is really what this show is all about, is to get the conversation started, to get us looking through a different lens. I'm not saying that everybody has to agree with me, but if you have questions that you want to explore or talk about different, I honor and welcome them. And just to reiterate, on my website, on the very last tab under Services and Donations, you can send me an email address. You can make a donation to my work and get a lot of questions answered that might trigger a conversation whenever we're on the air next Sunday. So just to kind of give a brief overview, I want to remind you, honor yourself, meet your needs. The basic core needs are comfort and pleasure, attention and acceptance, approval and importance, and value and worth. These are the part of being human as much as breathing air is. And these are things that you need to experience not only on the physical level, but on the emotional and the mental and the spiritual as well. These are your human rights. These are your spiritual rights. These are what is rightfully yours and what has been hidden from you. Because as long as you can't and don't or meet those needs for yourself, somebody else, you're going to give your power away to somebody else who is going to promise you that they will, which they can't, but they think they can. And all I would say to that is when you give someone the power to make you happy, you give them the power to make you miserable. Always remember that it is your reaction to what someone is doing, saying, thinking, feeling that is making you feel what you feel. You are not a victim, and nobody else can control you unless you give them the power to do so. Trust you, honor you, believe in you, know your own worth. Give fear away. Just let it go and be vulnerable to being who you are. Because when you're vulnerable and you are totally in your truth, you are more safe than you are if you are loaded down with tanks, machine guns, and all of the weapons in the world. Put it all down. Spread your legs, raise your arms to the heavens, be vulnerable, and be truly who you are. So I hope you have enjoyed the show today. Get a chance to visit my website. My book is also available for purchase on the website. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear you share your stories. And I will see you next Sunday. And I thank you all for being here and listening and supporting my work. Until next week, follow your heart's song and paint the world with the colors of your soul. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Metro PCS.
Hi, I heard you're giving free phones to everybody?
Yes, right now, everybody gets a free phone. You and your friends, cousins, neighbors, roommates.
What if I'm already with Metro PCS?
Yeah, it's for existing customers, new customers, people named Willie, dog lovers.
That's awesome.
Everyone gets a free phone at Metro PCS. Come choose your select free phone from brands like Samsung and LG. Metro PCS. Wireless figured out. Sales tax not included. Phones free after instant and mail-in rebates. Upgrade fee may apply. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
There is more to me, Queen Eliara of Elfgard, than my elven magic. Just as there's more to Geico than saving you money, Geico also gives you 24/7 access to licensed agents online, on the phone, or on the Geico app. And while I am a mighty elf queen, I am also a mighty big fan of barbecue potato chips. Minions! More smoky mesquite.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.